Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Zelda podcast, the Kokiri Chronicles, where I sit down and talk about all things Legend of Zelda on every third day of the month. Last time, back in February 3rd, I got to sit down here and we had some 40th anniversary predictions. We got to talk about merchandise and maybe like a new game coming out, movie, etc. But so far, I know that we're in March, but we haven't gotten much anything as to how Nintendo plans on celebrating for Zelda's 40th anniversary. So we're tying into that. And if you guys are new to the channel, please don't forget to do the following by liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good jazz. It really helps me out. And if you love all things Legend of Zelda. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going... So, on the day of this recording, it's already been 9 years since the release of Breath of the Wild came out. And what better way to celebrate as today we're going to talk about the Hero of the Wild, one of the most interesting incarnations of Link. And I am joined here by my good friends DarkBahamutIX and Sora850.
Hello.
Yes, how are you two doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good. Nice. Nice, but also, can you two actually believe that it's already been 9 years since Breath of the Wild came out? That is wild. That is fucking crazy. It's already been 9 years already.
I think you mean. Dang it! I was just about to make that joke.
I know, that is absolute wild. Oh my god! Now you got me.
It was a wild ride.
Oh my god!
I had to take a deep breath for that one.
Oh dear lord. Okay then. Alrighty. So this is how we're gonna go ahead and get things started. So obviously you two know about this incarnation of Link has been out for already 9 years in the media. He's been out for 9 years. So I want to know from you two. We'll start with Bahamut, and I'll go last. What was your first impression on Link's design in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom?
The first thing we see of him is obviously when he wakes up at the Shrine of Rejuvenation, I think, is it?
Shrine of Resurrection.
Resurrection, that's it. And and his design was pretty good. Like, you know, he had a wild kind of pun not intended look. And you could tell he was definitely a bit more like built like a swordsman, unlike the other Links, except maybe like Twilight Princess Link.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just that whole like disheveled look he had as well, where he's like, he's got his hair is more like kind of a darker blonde rather than just a bright blonde like in previous games. And
right,
I think he looked a bit more like, well, he looked more like a seasoned soldier, like he's seen some stuff. And I definitely was excited to see what would happen with this incarnation of Link.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. And what about you, Sora? What are your thoughts on this design of Link in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom?
Speaking more so from Breath of the Wild's point of view, or my point of view towards Breath of the Wild, rather, because like with Tears of the Kingdom, it's nothing special. It's the same as Breath of the Wild, but my first impression of that was Skyward Sword Link, but better looking.
Yeah.
Because my first impression of it was when I first saw the trailer for Breath of the Wild, when it was announced for the Wii U, and it was that cool trailer where he flipped off the horse and then attacked the Guardian with the bow.
Yes.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. That was the first time I saw it, and I was like, oh my lord, this looks cool.
Oh yeah, that was definitely cool.
That was really cool. I really do like this. So y'all got some amazing responses. So my first response was, okay, this is really interesting because obviously, this is something that we were not used to back in the day. Because obviously, we're used to like the green tunic, the green cap, something that we've been used to for like the past, over 30 years back in the day. And now that they're celebrating 40 years, it's surprising that they've been using this incarnation of Link for so long. I mean, knowing like how popular like Breath of the Wild is, Tears of the Kingdom, and even the spin-off titles being Age of Calamity, Age of Imprisonment, but Honestly, I think Link looks really cool with his design. I mean, I really like the blue champion's tunic look. I like how they kind of improv that, like showing that like oh, when his ponytail, when he's not wearing a ponytail on his back, he actually has pretty long hair in Tears of the Kingdom. He's got long hair and he actually looks pretty sick with it.
Put him in his underwear and he looks like Tarzan.
Yes.
It was, yeah, it was definitely a nice change from the green tunic. I think the blue tunic definitely looks great on him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really do admire the champion's tunic. I mean, obviously, my preference is obviously so traditional with green, but honestly, I think blue really suits Link well, because we've seen Link wear blue tunics in the past, like the blue chainmail, like in some 2D Zelda games, and like we had Zora tunics, like in Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. But honestly, blue looks good on him.
And of course the Zora tunic in Breath of the Wild that you can get as well.
Yes, that too. Which by the way, we'll definitely get into that. So anyway,
Don't forget the pajamas that he wears at the start of Wind Waker.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
the Outside Island pajamas. Yeah, I still love those pajamas today. I wish I could go out to the world and fight in my PJs.
I mean, if you play Wind Waker New Game Plus, you can. So
Yes, you can.
Yes, everyone. Yes, we can see Fartknocker fight monsters in his Tingle pajamas.
Bruh, we're gonna have a meeting after this recording.
Hululempa.
Oh my god. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and dive into the Hero of the Wild story. We're gonna go ahead, before we get into Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, we gotta start with Breath of the Wild. We gotta start there. So, honestly, I really do like Link's story in Breath of the Wild. I like how this whole started, like how he's a young boy. He got appointed to be a knight, to serve the kingdom in Hyrule. He's also was served to protect Princess Zelda. But honestly, when you do think about it, this guy has kind of been through a lot, kind of like a similar Hero of Time, but differently. But I mean, he's been through a lot. The fact that he fought in a great war all with the champions known as the Great Calamity. This dude, like, definitely risked his life to save Princess Zelda. But around the time, he's been reckless, always getting himself hurt. A lot of people kind of think like, oh, what, can this guy really be fit to be a hero? Like, knowing that he's carrying the sword that seals the darkness, aka the Master Sword. You have a few of the champions are thinking should we really trust him, or do we know he's the guy? You've seen Princess Zelda even question it, like his efforts of just being heroic. But we've definitely seen how he's actually is portrayed as a character, it's shown in diaries and and also in the memories that he acquires throughout the game. And because when he wakes up in the Shrine of Resurrection, he has no recollection of everything that's happened, because after he died, he had to be put into Shrine of Resurrection for 100 years to help restore his memory and to save him. And then when he woke up, he was in a place, in a world that was completely unfamiliar to him. He would look at a certain people and he'd be like, do I know you? Who are you? I mean, you look familiar, but do I know you? Do I know you? And you even had people from other tribes, you have Muzu, who back in Zora's Domain, who would question, be like, oh, you don't remember me from? Shit, that actually hurt my fucking throat.
Jesus.
That hurt my throat. But yeah, honestly, it kind of goes deeper, in Champion's Ballad and even in Age of Calamity, where we get to see more of Link being an actual knight. In Age of Calamity, there's that one scene where they're running away from Guardians and Link is holding Zelda's hand, knowing that he's trying to save her and protect her. But the fact, I will say though, that this Link also had a really interesting bond with Princess Zelda. regardless that you know that he's been scolded by her for literally just doing his job like he's supposed to be doing. But this guy has just been through, and I've seen a few people say on the internet that like this Link has no personality. He's not very expressive compared to like the other incarnations. But honestly, like when you read some of the diaries, like Zelda's diary or some of the champions, where you honestly get to learn about, especially through the recent Zelda notes that we've got. You know, like I wouldn't say it was last year that we got Zelda notes. You get to learn more about his character. Like for example, there's one note that I liked in particular where Zelda's talking about like oh, you know, I was in the dining hall with my father, the king, and I can see Link just looking at me so differently for me going back for like seconds or thirds of a slice of fruitcake. I mean, obviously, you know, our guy definitely does love to eat, but honestly, this guy, you know, Link in Breath of the Wild. He's been through a lot, man, and we'll definitely talk about it in a bit in Tears of the Kingdom. But I want to know y'all's thoughts, starting with Sora on Link's story in Breath of the Wild.
Link's story in Breath of the Wild is kind of in pieces, if I'm being honest. Because,
yeah.
We don't get the full context of everything. We just see, like, different scenes where he's, like, with Zelda, and Zelda's just, like, ordering him around and saying, stop following me, because she thinks she has to be, like, all whatever, I guess. But aside from that, his story doesn't technically end here, but as far as the memories goes, like they get attacked, Link is in fatal condition, and then he's forced to be put in the Shrine of Resurrection. The Master Sword is then placed in the forest, like in the pedestal, and then he literally wakes up like 100 years later with no memories. And he's just kind of thrust into this familiar but not familiar world where he has to learn how to survive because the calamity just destroyed everything.
Yeah.
And it really feels like the best way I can describe it is a post-apocalyptic Avatar version of Legend of Zelda. Because that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
And like, then of course he goes all over Hyrule. He has to regain control of the Divine Beast, get his memories back, and then like stop the calamity. I'm gonna say this though, the ending of Breath of the Wild was the most disappointing thing ever.
Yeah,
it really was.
It kind of was, because you see like the whole thing to where like Link delivers the final blow with the light arrows, and then you see Zelda like emerging herself from within Calamity Ganon. You know, even though she spent 100 years trying to like fight and protect her own kingdom while Link was sleeping for so long, and the only thing you get was just like, you know, like, oh, do you remember me? Like, and then, but also a lot of people really say like it really dives deeper into Link and Zelda's relationship, especially at the end, where you see like the camera kind of like zooms out, and you see all these flower petals flying by. It's like oh yeah, sign of flower petals flying by means like those are the symbolism of two people who are absolutely in love.
Well, the part that disappointed me wasn't just the story. The story was a big part of it, but it was also the fact that the final boss was just completely staged.
Yeah.
Like, obviously the first phase wasn't staged, but the second phase where you're riding on horseback with the light arrows, that was 100% staged. You could not lose it.
Yeah, it was. I honestly don't know what Aonuma and Fujibayashi were thinking back then. But hey, I mean, whatever they did, it still got them to the Game Awards, and they won Game of the Year.
Yeah, it won the Game Awards, but not for its story.
Yeah, that is definitely true. But I mean, beside the fact that, of course, the final boss itself is completely ass, at least they delivered more with the Champions Ballad DLC, and even giving us a boss that felt like a true final boss for the whole game, being Monkmas Kochia. Now, I said this before many times, That to me was the final boss of Breath of the Wild. Was
And it's locked behind $40 DLC.
yeah.
Just to add to my list of gripes.
Asura's Wrath, anyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But anyway, what about you, Bahamut? What are your thoughts? Link's story in Breath of the Wild.
See, I really like his story. Like, I love the fact that it's all in pieces. That it's like this big enigma. It's this big mystery. It's this big puzzle that you have to piece together. I like that because it's like you can then re-experience that story with Link. Like you can re-experience his memories along with him, and there's a sense of like closeness and growth with it, and I love that. Like being like having to go around and find the places that him and Zelda took pictures of, and then seeing the memories, which some of them which were like really freaking precious. Like
Oh
I loved
yes.
like the Urbosa and Zelda like flashback, for example, where Zelda falls asleep in against Urbosa's shoulder. I thought that was great.
Oh yeah.
I
Um,
love that.
I love that one too.
yeah, it was such a sweet cutscene. And yeah, I love his story. It's like you said earlier, like he's been through this war with the Calamity, or he's getting ready about the Calamity. He's actually like this knight. He's got like this job that he is completely dedicated to, despite the fact that his charge is just being like a brat. Like you just it just adds to a great story because it just means that this Link has like you can just tell it's like, yeah, this is gonna be a good story. Like he's a man on a mission. He's dedicated. Um, and again, just the memory stuff. Like I said, is just trying to figure it all out, piece it together, show what he's been through, and
Mm-hmm.
why he's still fighting. It makes for a great story. Um, like with Sora, I too was disappointed with the final boss and the ending a bit. Because yeah, the last fight, the last phase with the final fight being staged did wind me up. Like I gotta admit, it did disappoint me as well. Um, but overall, Link's story it was a great story in my opinion to like go through and just enjoy. Like I really loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a great story, and also one thing I forgot to add was that I also liked how in Zelda's diary, um, we actually get to learn, or we finally get to understand for so many years, as to why Link has always been quiet so all the time.
Mm,
Well, not just well, I mean, of course, in the past games, but in this game in particular, there's like a story where she's like, I've always asked him why he's been so quiet, but it's mostly because like he's got eyes on everything that's going on. It's affecting him.
mm,
And he feels like it would be a burden for him to be silent. But
yeah.
but honestly, it just shows like the way like how like even in Zelda, like when you listen to some of the Zelda notes, she's like, oh, I had a talk with Link about this, and he told me like this and that, and blah 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 blah. So it kind of shows there's like some personality with him, like regardless of him just being very quiet. I don't know. I want to know what's your take on that, Bahamut?
See, I love that the fact that he like feels that he has to silently bear like all the burdens and that, and he just does so by remaining stoic and silent with his eyes. Like you said, he's constantly observing. He's doing his job. He's constantly observing the world around, any threats to Zelda, or how best to like protect her, how best look after her, her moods and such. Like the fact that he's just observing and analyzing all of this silently, and like it makes me feel like he's definitely a guy who knows what's important. He's like, yeah, you can have fun, you can have like laughs, you can have conversations, but he knows like that when he knows when it's time to like be stoic, where idle banter is not the best option, and he's just got to like grit his teeth and get on with it. Like it shows that he's definitely got like a very strong heart, a very strong will, and it's very befitting of a knight and a champion that he is obviously in this game. So I think yeah, it's a great that explanation was a great touch that I feel that also could be I think it could be extended to other to previous incarnations as well, that they just prefer to stay silent so they can just bear the burden so other people don't have to. Like it says a lot for his courage in that.
Yes, absolutely. And what about you, Sora?
Bahamut pretty much made every point that I would have made, but I will say this. I've always loved the silent protagonist thing that Link had going on, but I love the fact that this game actually gives us a story reason behind it.
Mm.
It's not just there to be there. Like there's a legit reason why he stays silent.
Yeah, exactly. Because like in the past games, we just, we see like dialogue choices and how characters respond with like, I see, or something, something, something. But yeah, like in my past Zelda games, we've kind of seen like glimpses of Link actually talking. Like one of them, for example, is like in Wind Waker, like when you're in the Tower of the Gods and like you approach one of those statues, you hear Link just go, "Come on!" Like you actually
Well,
hear him talking, and then like, yeah, Sora, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's also Phantom Hourglass whenever Lineback starts asking Link something, and then you literally see him expressing like what he's talking about.
Yeah, yes, yes, good observation. Yes, I like that. Another one was at the beginning of Twilight Princess, where you see like Link moving his lips when he's talking to Ilya while he's riding on Epona in Ordon
Yeah.
Village.
Yeah, that too.
That was a good one. But also the one game that kind of shows the most where he's actually is moving his mouth is Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword showed that perfectly of showing Link that he is talking like there's like like in the beginning of the game where he's explaining to Gaepora, what happened to Zelda after the end of the Wing Festival, or like Link trying to explain to Groose like what is this surface. So, but but it doesn't. But those games in general, they don't explain like why he's quiet. The game just says like, oh, he just is. He can talk for a little bit, but he just is. But with Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom, there's a whole reasoning as to why he is quiet.
I also love the fact that with Breath of the Wild, on top of them giving you a story reason for that, the fact that he's quiet does not negate the fact that he still has a lot of personality.
Yeah.
Because you can still see the personality just in the dialogue choices and a lot of the stuff you do, and even just what bit of expressions you do get.
Yeah, exactly. Like whenever you like, for example, like when you find one of the memory locations, like he will look at his Sheikah Slate and his eyes will go wide and it's like, oh, like he's kind of like his mind's like, oh my god, I actually remember this now. But
Yeah.
but he does,
Yeah.
but he does have personality. Like if you're in a hot place, he starts moving his head like it's all dizzy. Like when he's all like hot or if he's in a cold weather, he's just like he's had his arms around him, he's just shivering and he's cold. So
And like the facial expressions he makes during both of them, like you can see the teeth chattering and everything.
yeah, yes, it's definitely so good. But yeah, I will say in both Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity, I like how we get to see more of Link's character, like him being a knight, like before and after he awakens in the Shrine of Resurrection. Like, and obviously, as I was saying earlier, like we all know he's an enjoyer of food. Like for example, there's that one scene of Age of Calamity where he's with the Gorons and like you see Link munching on a rock, something that you'll never see from any other incarnation of Link. Like this guy is just brave enough to like just take a rock and just munch on that thing like it was a piece of sirloin steak.
Got some pretty strong teeth to be able to do that.
I know.
Hell yeah. Master teeth.
Master teeth.
The master teeth.
The master teeth.
The teeth of courage.
Oh my god.
Yes. Teeth that eat evil.
Teeth of no evil. Oh my. The teeth that's
Teeth of evil's bane.
the teeth that sealed the darkness.
Chip Scarlet would approve.
My shiny teeth in me.
Shiny teeth, shiny teeth, shiny teeth.
Oh my god. But yeah, anyway, so when we dive into Tears of the Kingdom, obviously this takes place a few years after the events of Breath of the Wild, and we see Link and Zelda exploring the depths of Hyrule Castle. And honestly, in Tears of the Kingdom, things get much worse for him. Like the fact that he loses his arm because of the gloom. like honestly, that's just really insane. Where, like, if you look at his arm, like in that scene, it looks like it's all like charred, like he actually like fully burned it. But this dude went through a while, like, and especially having to like use some of King Raru's power, just to like being able to like just like use some of like use abilities to his own hands, uh, like being able to like ultra hand and fuse. But like honestly, like the way like how they started Tears of the Kingdom is so dark and brutal. The fact that he actually lost his arm, like because of gloom, is just insane.
Bad enough you lost your memories, now you had to go and lose your arm too. Come on, Link.
Always gotta lose something.
Yes,
You ain't kidding.
Sora, what are you what was your take on Link's story in Tears?
It was a step above Breath of the Wild in terms of story. But I will say this. I have one gripe with the story that I did not have with Breath of the Wild, and that is the way you find the story. I
Yeah.
hate how out of sequence it is.
Yes.
Like, I straight up hate how out of sequence it is. It is annoying because you can literally get spoiled on the ending just from playing the game.
Yeah, because yeah, I totally get what you're saying, because like whenever you explore, you like observe like those dragon tears, and they're just like completely out of place. Like you'll see stuff like oh, how did Ganondorf become the Demon King, or like him trying to swear allegiance to King Rauru and Queen Sonia. It's just completely out of place with just learning about stuff in the past, and then learning at the end where it's like where Robert's like, I was like, think of that name, Link. You will remember that name, and you're just like, wait, did I miss a lot of parts?
Yeah, and that was sort of me when I played it. Granted, I got lucky and I only found a couple out of sequence, I think. Actually, no, I think I found about 3 or 4 out of sequence, but I didn't find the very last one until it was the very last one, so I got lucky there. But I've seen so many people complain about how they literally found the very last one first.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember when I first played it 2.5 years ago. I think I also experienced that almost to where it was like, oh, there's Ganondorf. I'm like, okay, did I find this correctly? Did I do this correctly? I'm like, wait, we're here now? The fuck?
Yeah, and like on top of that, I think Tears of the Kingdom is the better game, but like between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But it definitely did not capture the magic in the same way that Breath of the Wild did, because with Tears of the Kingdom, you sort of knew what you were getting into.
Yeah.
Like another big open world Zelda game, and this time with all the sky islands and everything, and the ability to fuse stuff together. Like you sort of knew what you were getting into.
Right.
It still ended up being the better game in my opinion, and it was more difficult. But with Breath of the Wild, there was just that sense of wonder that you had
Yeah.
because you didn't fully know what you were getting into.
Exactly, because like you had this massive world of Hyrule that you were unfamiliar with, and then after you do like the Great Plateau challenges, there's like a massive world for you to go, and like you have like King Rome telling Link is like oh, if you want to pursue the journey and free the 4 divine beasts, you can start by going to Kakariko Village, or if you want to go save my daughter, you can start marching your way to Hyrule Castle. So you have like this massive world to explore, and then in Tears of the Kingdom, like the moment you die from the Great Sky Islands, you see like it's like oh, this is the land of Hyrule that I remember from a few years ago, but now you have all this new stuff added.
Yeah. Now, one thing that definitely caught me by surprise was the depths.
Oh yeah, like the depth, like honestly, exploring the depths was a really interesting twist. I love exploring the depths in Tears of the
And
Kingdom.
I'm really glad they did not show the depths in any trailers because when I first saw the depths, my jaw dropped.
Yeah, it's so massive. It's so cool. Like it's just so dark and gloomy. And, like you have all these enemies down there. It's like, holy crap, dude.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Bahamut in just a minute, but I have one last thing I want to say.
Yes.
I love the concept of the Sky Islands, but I really wish they did more with it. I really wish they did.
Yeah, I kind of wish there was more to it for the Sky Islands, but, but with Tears of the Kingdom, it was just like, oh, this is the same land of Hyrule that you remember, but oh, we've added new stuff. Like, for example, we have mushroom designs all over Hateno Village for some reason.
Hope y'all like mushrooms.
Mario does.
Everybody loves mushrooms, right?
But anyway, Bahamut, what is your thoughts on Link's story in Tears?
I thought his story was really good. It was definitely a step up from Breath of the Wild. In my opinion, it definitely structured better as well. But yeah, finding the end of the story, being able to find the end of the story first was a bit of an annoyance. But I liked it, and yeah, going through like all the places from Breath of the Wild, and everyone's got like new stories. Everyone's got something else going on, like in all the different locations. It was definitely like a nice change from Breath of the Wild, and yeah, I feel like Link's story is definitely a bit more, like I said, it's a bit more structured now. He's got this mission to rescue not rescue Zelda because she's in the past, but like he's got this mission to like try and free the bees, try to stop Ganon who's now back, and there was definitely a lot more to enjoy, I found, with it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, it was just fun going back to the older locations. I agree that yeah, the Sky Islands were cool, but I wish they had done more of them. Um, and getting to some of them was just incredibly tedious as well.
Yeah.
Um, I will admit I found and the depths as well. I really loved as well. I thought the depths was a really cool addition. It was a great, kind of like sort of like it felt sort of like the underground um Pokemon Gen 4. Like it was an optional place you could go through to examine, explore, find hidden goodies and stuff, and it was very good. I will admit it was very tedious though, just because you could keep on going for ages and ages and not find anything of note. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy exploring it. Like despite it being like a pain in the butt to explore, it was kind of fun and it was a really cool inclusion. And the bonuses you can find down there, like the little Easter eggs and
Yes.
such, were just really great.
Yes. Absolutely. And like, I think it's really interesting, like how we're starting Tears of the Kingdom off with a Link who actually, well, kind of, but not really, like lose an arm because of the gloom and like,
Mm,
but we've seen less darker. We've seen a bit darker in terms of hand losing, like, which by the way, um, bit of a minor spoiler for the Twilight Princess manga, but in Volume One, during the scene where Link actually confronts King Boblin in the Ordon Spring, just like in Twilight Princess, in the game itself. When Link is trying to fight King Boblin actually like legit chops his left hand off, and is honestly one of the darkest shit I've ever seen. I'm like, oh my god,
oh yeah.
this actually fucking happened.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember reading that. I was like, what the hell? Did they actually did that?
Yeah, dude,
Like, damn.
it was so gruesome. I was like, holy shit. But
Oh yeah.
Other Princess just being gruesome.
well, welcome to one of the Dark Zelda games ever made.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Also, one thing I want to add
yes.
about Tears of the Kingdom story. The finale was way better than Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell like how. So one thing I want to add on to Link's character in the end is like when he slays Demon Dragon Ganondorf, like the fact that like you see like this massive explosion take place and you have like the spirit of Rauru and Sonia kind of like restoring the power to Link's arm, you know? And then just having that ending to where, like both him and Zelda are in the skies, and Link is, like, reaching down to, like, grab her. It's honestly was one of the most heartwarming things I've ever seen. And also, I will say this right now, I thought it was really the sweetest thing to where, like, the moment he captured, the moment he grabbed her hand, he, like, immediately cupped her head, like, the moment before they were about to dive into the water. I thought that was the sweetest thing he did.
It was gushing at that part.
Yeah, it
It was a very sweet part.
It was great. But honestly, no, I will say this, though. Can we... I really want to talk about Link and Zelda's relationship throughout Age of Calamity, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, honestly, their relationship is, like, honestly one of the strongest we've ever seen in the series. Because, like first it kind of started out small, like with Zelda kind of being all questionable, like, you know, like, oh, so I heard, like, you know, my father actually chose him to be the knight. And the fact that she referred to Link as him for quite a while, this kind of shows, like, how little their relationship was at the beginning. It kind of got a little bit bumpy, you know, and to a point to where, again, he was literally just doing his job. And then the fact of where she scolded him, where she's like, "Stop following me!" But I feel like, obviously, the moment that changed everything was in the memory in Breath of the Wild where they're in the desert, and Link actually protects Zelda from being attacked by members of the Yiga clan. Like, I feel like from there, that changed everything, because now Zelda realized that all he's just been doing is just his job. You know, and ever since then, she's just been admiring him, like, him being a knight, and just saying, like, you know, oh, it's like, oh, as reckless as you are, you still keep on getting hurt no matter what. But the fact that she did almost everything just to protect him, and honestly, when you think about it, he was the reason why why Zelda was able to unlock her power, was because she was in love with him. Like, that was the reason why. And we get to learn about this in Cass's final song, where the story goes that, like, Cass had a teacher. The teacher fell in love with Princess Zelda, but she rejected him, but only had feelings for her appointed knight, aka Link. So she had feelings for him. And then later on, when you jump forward to a few years later in Tears of the Kingdom, you see them working together. And of course, we do know that Link obviously owns a house now in Halteno Village. Oh, and can we talk about this? The fact that they share a house together. Like that literally blew my mind. I mean, honestly, you know, I can understand that despite with everything that happened in Hyrule Castle. Like, I totally get it. I mean, I wouldn't want to live there. Would y'all want to live there?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live there either.
No. But just
honestly, until it's, like, complete.
Yeah, but honestly, like, the fact that, like, they were literally living together just really says a lot about Link and Zelda's relationship. And honestly, again, I love their relationship. I like how it just started off small to, like, him just following her even though he was just doing his job, and then to the fact to where, you know, she was in love with him. And she even wrote about him in his diary, saying, like, oh, I wonder if Link likes this, or, you know, like, oh, I saw Link try this the other day, you know, like, that just shows, like, how strong their relationship is. And I swear to God, if Nintendo pulls this crap like they did with Mario and Peach on them just being good friends, I'm gonna be so damn pissed.
Oh God,
I don't mind that one bit.
Because in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, you obviously are showing that they are in love with each other. There is no way that you can define that as good friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, of course, I don't believe in that junk with Mario and Peach.
No.
Oh, I don't either.
I don't believe it. But anyway, But yeah, with starting with Bahamut, what are your thoughts on Link and Zelda's relationship in Wild and Tears?
I thought it was a good relationship, like especially in Breath of the Wild where it start, like you said, they had a rocky start, Zelda thought he was nothing but an annoyance, they thought he was just nothing but a pest who was getting in the way of her studies and just constantly following her, like, and she felt like, kind of harassed by him, even though he was literally was just doing his job. And but then, yeah, you see, like, in typical fashion, she starts to warm up to him, starts to realize. Like when he saves her, he starts to realize, okay, yeah, he's literally just doing his job, like he's he's not doing it to be annoying or to invade my personal space or anything like that. He's literally doing it just because it's his job. He swore to protect me, and he's upholding that oath. And it just shows, it shows a lot that she, how she learned about his character, who he is as a person, and how dedicated he is to protecting her. And it was just made for a very sweet relationship they were building. Um, and then of course, it all come in full circle, and yeah, like you say, in Tears, where they are literally living together, and you can tell, like, with how much with how she looks at Link, even in just the original, like the prologue kind of Tears, where they're exploring the ground, and she always, like, she's constantly looking at him, like, okay, I, as if the eyes, like she I trust you, I trust this him completely to watch my back, I know he'll look out for me. And yeah, the relationship's definitely, like, it's definitely improved from older games where they pretty much just strangers that just work together and and help and fight to stop Ganondorf together. But yeah, that and in Tears of the Kingdom, that scene at the end of Tears of the Kingdom where, yeah, you see Link, cup her head to protect her from the water, and that, like, the utter care and his actions, and that you can tell, like, yeah, they are, like, in love. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if, like, her and Link, this incarnation of her and Link, actually end up, like, getting married or something. Like, I could definitely see Link becoming, like, the king of the new, like, Hyrule, like, new Hyrule Castle. Like, it's a great relationship that you can definitely see that it's come from, like, rocky beginnings to something pure and amazing. Like, it's just great. I love it.
Absolutely. And Sora?
It's not my favorite relationship between the two characters, but I will say it's the most well developed.
Yeah.
Like, easily the most well developed. Because, like y'all said, it starts out rocky. Zelda just thinks he's an annoyance, and then over time, she starts to see him for the knight he actually is, and that he's just doing his job. And I can only speak from, like, Zelda's perspective, because hers is the only perspective we truly get to see. But I fully believe that Link actually cared about Zelda from the start, and he constantly shows it. Even though, like, being a knight is his job, I still felt like he actually did care about her.
Oh, absolutely. He really did care about her, and like, and honestly, they cared about each other, especially Zelda. Like, honestly, in one of the last memories, like for the Master Sword that was passed on by the Great Deku Tree, where Zelda returns the damaged Master Sword to the Korok Forest. You know, she says, if anything, can you lay this message for him? Tell him and the Deku Tree is like, words are best spoken if heard through your voice. Wouldn't you agree? And just like, yeah.
Mm.
So you can definitely show, like, she has like a strong affection
Yeah.
towards her appointed knight, and it's honestly is really great. But honestly, like Link has strong relationships with the other characters. Like, well, he's got some good relations with the other characters. Like the fact, like, I liked how, like, that Link and Mipha, for example, they've been friends since Link was a little boy, since Link was just a child, and Mipha was like taking care of him and like always healing him every time he got hurt, and then that relationship grew from friend to, like, oh, I'm like so in love with you, and like the fact that she even crafted an armor just for him, and honestly, like, that armor was like a form of like an engagement ring, like kind of like how in Ocarina of Time
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, like, when like the moment I give away the Zora Sapphire, it just means this this is the gift to the man I want to be my husband. And like the fact that she actually loved him is just it's just really beautiful and touching. I kind of love the rivalry between Link and Rivali because they had that rivalry kind of like with with Ash and Gary in Pokemon. So like
Yeah.
how in the Indigo League, like Gary was like one step ahead of one step ahead of Ash and always scolding him, and in Breath of the Wild he kind of looks at him at Link and he's like honestly, you're nothing. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't think I even trust you, but first of all, I don't even think I like you. But hey, if the others say that you're okay, then all right. But just like the fact that like he went to go train on a snowy mountain to prove that he could be better. But honestly, he felt like a complete rival to Link, and like Urbosa, yeah, they were good friends. Definitely good friends, and like Link and Daruk definitely felt like sworn brothers. Kind of like with the Hero of Time did with Darudia and Ocarina of Time. But yeah, Link also had a strong bond with the other characters who later on became sages in Tears of the Kingdom, like with Tuin and Yunobo and Riju, and obviously our favorite fish boy Prince Sidon, which by the way we love. We love him.
Yes.
Yeah, we love him. But
We
honestly,
love the Wild Mite guy.
yes. Yeah. But honestly, would y'all agree that like he had a strong relationship with the other characters, like the champions and the sages and Tears?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm also just throwing this out there. Mifa definitely puts Ruto to shame.
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
She definitely does. That she does.
That is a fish wife I can get behind.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can agree.
But yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you both is that so we've gotten to know this Link for 9 years already. 9 years. Like we first met him in Breath of the Wild, and then jumping forward to a few years later to where we got to see him in an old trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, which of course we didn't get any new information until like 2021 and 2022, and then we got Age of Calamity, and then finally when Tears of the Kingdom came out. But honestly, this guy has been out for like quite a number of times already. Like honestly, I think he's probably has been in more games than like any other incarnation of Link out there. But like, excuse me. But I want to know from you guys, starting with Sora. So how do you think the Hero of the Wild stands out in relation to all the other incarnations from the past?
Sora just had to mute, so I'll go first
Oh,
while
okay,
we're waiting.
okay, cool. So go ahead, Bahamut.
He definitely stands out because, yeah, like I said, he's a lot more like he looks more like a soldier than the other links of the past. Like obviously you got Ocarina of Time, for example, who was just a wee lad,
Yep.
and it wasn't until like the time skip that he actually looked the part of a swordsman. But even then, he was still kind of not. He didn't fully look like a knight. But then, of course, you have this incarnation where, like, he is a knight. He's had the training. Like, you see him shirtless and he's ripped. Like he's muscular and athletic. And it definitely shows that he definitely makes his mark. That the others did, and yeah, him being like the longest incarnation. Like, I believe the second. I think the second longest, I believe, was Link to the Past. Link, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's definitely like making his impression, making his mark. Um, Hopefully, if we get another mainline Zelda game, we'll see we'll see this Link again. If not, then maybe they'll do a new Link. I don't know, but yeah, he definitely makes his mark, especially with the yeah, like you said, the relationships. Um, yeah, with the relationships he makes, like like yeah, seeing his friendship with Mifa, and how sweet it is, and and then his friendship, future friendship with Sidon, You know, like, and and the Raleigh thing as well, which I really love. Like, especially since if I remember right, I think Link actually beat Rivali as well.
Yeah,
Um,
it was kind of like a rivalry kind of thing in Age of Calamity.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and it was just great. It was just great. Like it was, yeah. He definitely made his impression, and I think that this link, I think this link will definitely stand out more than the other links from previous games because of just the impression that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have made. And
yeah.
I definitely say he's one of my favorite links.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. So honestly, when you do think about it, like going back to the first Zelda game made in 1986 in Japan with Zelda 1, yeah, we started off a legacy pretty well. And I feel like pretty much every incarnation of Link like left a living legacy. Like, we had the hero of Hyrule, Link from Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. Obviously we have a 2D fan favorite being the hero of Legend from like Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and so forth. Um, Definitely with, of course, my personal favorite incarnation of Link being the hero of Time and Ocarina Majora's Mask, the hero of Winds from Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass. You have Link from Twilight Princess, who started off as a ranch hand and then later on was destined to be a swordsman. And then you have characters, for example, like Skyward Sword, who was just a boy, who studied to be a knight in the clouds, and then it was just a role that was chosen by the goddess because he wanted to save the girl he loved. But but
Hmm.
but normally, but with this incarnation of Link, like the hero of the wild, just he really does stand out. Like, and honestly, like, as what you were saying before, Bahamut, because of like Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity, Tears of the Kingdom, like this guy has definitely left a really strong legacy. He really hasn't, like, and honestly, being one of the first Links to like just like, I guess for like, oh, to where like the main tunic is just blue instead of green. Like the blue tunic is not like an optional thing where you can find like a dungeon or you can buy it in a shop. Like no, like this is, you literally start off with those pair of clothes. Because in every other Zelda game, Link is always wearing green, but in this game he's wearing blue, especially in Tears. But even though in Tears you can definitely find like the archaic outfit in the Sky Islands, but I will say this Link definitely left a pretty strong living legacy.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah. Also, welcome back, Sora. We're talking about how does the hero of the wild stand out in terms of the other incarnations?
Yeah, I actually picked up on that because I was able to listen in. What makes him stand out for me, and I don't know if anybody touched on this while I was AFK, but
Hmm.
uh, just like with Wind Waker Link, he was not chosen by the goddess for what he ended up doing in this game. He was Zelda's appointed knight, and he got caught up in everything because of the attack of the Calamity Ganon and everything.
Hmm.
He and so just based on that one thing alone, he's one of the only incarnations of Link who was not predestined for this kind of crap. He was just thrown into it.
Yeah, and like, yeah, honestly, I agree with that because like almost every incarnation of Link was like where most people were like chosen by destiny. Like in Zelda One, Link was just a boy who just literally came out of nowhere, and it's even in the manual. He's like, oh, he's just a kid who just literally came out of nowhere, and was like, hey, there's a princess, go save her, find golden triangles there, and
But
then
if I don't wanna,
Exactly.
and then like and then of course you have like the hero of time where just like like where fate just chose him to act at just a small when he was just a little boy, and then he was just a kid who was just forced to grow up so fast, and then later on when he awakes from 7 years into the future, yeah, we see him in a grown-up body, but in his mind he's still a child. And
Yeah.
then you have like again like Link from Twilight Princess, you know, um, yeah, like he definitely has some swordsman skills, probably because because of Russell from Ordon Village. Russell probably taught him how to fight, or maybe he learned it from somewhere else. But yeah, but part of it was just he was mostly was a ranch hand, and like Wind Waker Link, like you know like nobody chose him to go like to the sail the Great Sea. He did it because he wanted to save his sister.
Yeah,
And
and like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. But yeah, I definitely was getting what you're saying, Sora. Like with him, like in Age of Calamity, yeah, he definitely served to be a knight of Hyrule. And then with all the training and work that he did, he finally got the role to be an appointed knight, destined to protect Princess Zelda.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say another example is Spirit Tracks Link. He wasn't chosen by a goddess either. He was just a kid trying to get his engineer's license so he could be a train engineer, and then he ends up thrown into everything because of you know the the tracks disappearing and the Demon King's resurrection
Yes,
happening.
and then little pint-sized demon evil child.
Yeah, him.
Ah,
We don't
yes,
like him.
Chancellor Cole.
Yeah. We're talking about Chancellor Cole.
Chancellor Cole was the most obvious villain in the entire series.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I call him the pint-sized devil man child.
Yeah,
Yeah, the bloody demonic leprechaun.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my
But
god.
before
Yep.
we move on, I want to hear what Bahamut was about to say before I accidentally cut him off.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Bahamut.
I was just gonna make a joke and say like if this Breath of the Wild is that he's living doing the living legacy, then he needs to pass on the Master Sword just like the Buster Sword.
Oh my god.
Oh my lord.
Oh my god. And
Oh,
and then anyway, we are going to dive into our last question before we close things off. And so to end things off for this episode, so I want to ask you both this. So now that this link has been out for 9 years, obviously we haven't had much information in terms of like, a 40th anniversary celebration. And honestly, it kind of seems like sometimes Nintendo really doesn't do much for like Zelda for like celebrating its anniversary. Normally, for like Nintendo has always been like Mario and Pokemon, for example. Like they've always been celebrating their anniversaries. But like Zelda's like, oh, here's a logo, there you go. And then like yeah, they sometimes did it with Kirby as well. Like they say like, oh, here's the 30th anniversary, here's an orchestra, all this other stuff. But like there's not been much going on for Zelda, at least not yet. Hopefully we'll expect something like throughout before the end of this year. But excuse me. But my question to you guys is this: would you guys want to see this incarnation of Link again in another game, or would you say you guys are ready to move on and to have a brand entirely new incarnation?
Me personally, I think it's time to put this one to rest.
yeah. Like he's got his happy ever after, like with Princess Zelda. He's rescued the girl. That just face it, they're in love. It definitely. I think he's definitely earned his rest. So I think a new incarnation for him should be. I think that'd be a very. I think it's well deserved for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus, I don't think we need a third variant of Breath of the Wild Hyrule.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though I think it's been stated in interviews that Aonuma says he definitely wants to go into the direction of future games to kind of be like Wild in Tears. So here's the hoping is like oh, is like does Aonuma and Mr. Fujibayashi, do they want to work on a brand new game that features the hero of the Wild once again, or do they want to go in that direction but just give us a brand new Link and Zelda and possibly Ganondorf?
What
Yeah,
I would
'cause-
like to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say because it's like we've had four games with this link. No, we've had four games with this version of Hyrule, and it's definitely time for a new one. Of course, we've got
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild and Tears, and then we've got Calamity, and then Imprisonment. So yeah, it's definitely time for a new Hyrule, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What I would personally like to see is them like do a new incarnation of Link, but kind of like a new, not like a new variant of Twilight Princess's Hyrule, but kind of like one similar to it, but more expanded. I would like to see something like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like, I don't mean like take um Twilight Princess's Hyrule and like redesign it or expand it. I want it to have like the same feel,
Yes.
but more so be its own thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
No, I totally agree with both of you. For me, I am definitely going to be with you guys on this one. I honestly think it's time to put the hero of the wild to rest because honestly, for 9 years, this guy has had his fair share in the spotlight. He's been in Breath of the Wild. They made him a playable fighter in Smash Ultimate. He's in Age of Calamity, and then he had another game being in Tears of the Kingdom. He's obviously is mentioned in Age of Imprisonment, but honestly, it's time for this guy to go to sleep. Like all these other Links have had their fair share, of having the spotlight, but it's time for somebody else to have a turn.
Yeah,
It's just,
definitely.
let's just hope he doesn't take another nap in the Shrine of Resurrection, though.
I mean, but then again, if he takes a nap, you got to ask yourself this question, and I don't know if you'll get this one, Bahamut, but I'm sure Sora will. But if we see another Link sleeping, we're always going to ask ourselves this question: can Hyrule's destiny really depend on such a lazy boy?
I get that. I'll grant time.
Yeah.
I get that reference.
You better, because it's from my favorite game of all time.
This is true.
Even though it's been mentioned in a few games, but yeah. But anyway, that is going to be all the time that we have. First off, I want to say thank you to both Bahamut and Sora for joining me in this episode. This was fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
This was fun.
This is definitely fun. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to do the following by liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good jazz. It really helps me out. So guys, let's be back here for the next episode as coming on April 3rd. I will be sitting down here to discuss what makes A Link to the Past so great. Now, personally, A Link to the Past is my favorite 2D Zelda game. But the thing is, like normally when I watch like reviews and tier lists and stuff like that, I've seen a lot of people say that this is their favorite 2D Zelda game. I know, for example, Sora, obviously yours is Spirit Tracks, but I'm trying to think, what is yours, Bahamut?
2D Zelda, I'm gonna say is it's a tough one for me, but I probably would say my favorite 2D Zelda is probably Spirit Tracks as well, honestly.
Okay. Well, look at that,
Fellow
Sora.
Spirit Pack lover.
Well,
Yes.
look at that, Sora. You're not alone. Well,
Except for
I'm
that,
not
except for
alone.
me.
except for that fucking flute.
Except for me.
Yeah,
I'm alone.
that is one thing I will agree on. The flute controls are not great.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, we will meet back here for next time as we talk about what makes A Link to the Past so great. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye. Happy anniversary to Breath of the Wild.
Have a good night.
Bye.